y'all. I got asked a lot of questions about my favorite things that I shoot with or that I use on a regular basis. And I've been saying to my friends who probably don't really care about any of this for like the last 8 months, these are some of the best things that I've bought myself. So I just wanted to share that with other creators out there. Or, I mean, these are also good items for just casual shooting or just creating in general. So this might be beneficial to you, especially given the circumstances that we're in right now. My favorite thing that I've bought in the last year has been my Fujifilm X100F. Now, I shoot. I've predominantly shot on this camera since I bought it in September. And I remember telling a couple people that a couple different shoots were shot on this camera, and they were like,
What?
because it is a fixed lens, it's a 35 millimeter. And I got it because it was convenient to throw in my bag. And then I also was like, well, let me try out Fujifilm because I like the color that they seem to produce, or the colors that they seem to produce. So an amazing camera to tote around, and it's small. I have a lens filter for it, but I can't unscrew this portion. So weekends. We're gonna figure that out eventually. The next thing that I bought was, I was intrigued by instant film. Well, I started to get obsessed with the look of film last year, but I was like, I don't want to make that purchase as of yet. And so I started getting into instant film. Instant film is expensive too. So I wanted to look around and find a camera where where it was a reasonable price for the camera, and then also I wasn't blowing money on my film. So I got this Fujifilm Instax Mini, I think it's called Liplay, whatever. And it's cool because you can take the photo and then you can choose whether or not you print it. So you're not blowing film, and it's not just predominantly a printer, which is what you usually see. So I've beat this thing to all hell. It's also a good introduction in learning about shooting instant film, because it's actually pretty difficult to get some of the shots that I want. You can't just kind of you can shoot and go, but if you're like me, you care what comes out of here. So you can change the exposure in here. You can adjust it up and down. I thought that was fairly useful. It also kind of has like an autofocus on it, but you learn a lot about what your light needs to look like in here, or what you're seeing, and then you can compare that to what comes out. Disregard. You can compare all the shots that you take, and after you print them, you can be like, oh, well, I need to adjust my exposure up a little bit, or I need to bring my exposure down, it's too bright. So this is actually a great way to start versus here, where once you shoot, that's it. So I mean, I wouldn't recommend this to start out. So people can talk mess all day about cameras like these, but I think this was a great investment. It taught me a lot about what instant film needs to look like as you're shooting, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't, whatever. The next best thing that I bought myself, and you know what, there's sometimes I think that we buy ourselves things and we don't realize that that's an investment in yourself until well after the fact, or maybe you never even realize it. But my iPad Pro, I think this is the 10.5 inch, was the best thing that I could give myself. Honestly, I don't really edit my photographs on here. They get edited in Lightroom on my laptop, on my MacBook. But I collage a lot. I collage my photographs together. If you've seen, of course, my Instagram, then you know that I like to cut and layer and do whatever. I used to do that on my cell phone, on a mobile app in bed. on that tiny screen using my finger. So this was definitely an upgrade, and it actually significantly improved what my collages look like. I just do it to pass the time and to as a stress reliever. So I use Affinity Photo as the app that I use to cut photos and edit photos a little bit. And then sometimes I go into Procreate, and if I want to draw for my collages, I'll use Procreate. A lot of the time I have to use both because one will do something that the other doesn't. But those are really the main two. I do have Lightroom on my iPad just so if I export a photo and I hate it, instead of going back to Lightroom on my MacBook, I can just edit it really quickly on my iPad. But those were my favorite 3 things that have actually changed the game for me in the last year. My X100F will always have a special place in my heart. I shoot on that all the time. I have the X Pro 3, but I have a 50mm equivalent lens on that, so I'm going to buy either a wide angle or a 35 equivalent for it. I haven't decided yet on which way to blow my money. But if you have any cool tech recommendations for me, just leave them in the comments below. Or if you have anything that you're curious about my flow or my process or anything that I use, definitely let me know and I'll make a quick video about it. I hope you guys take care. Go out there and create, and go outside. Go outside.